There are many truths in this world. However, one thing that will remain true forever is that people need each other. A coin is nothing without both heads and tails, and our earth is nothing without the sun and the moon. The web of our earth expands ever so slightly through small human interactions. Nothing beyond the surface is an absolute. This brings me to ping pong. There is character work in ping pong like I've never seen expressed. Whether you play ping pong or sports in general, there is an allure to this manga I just haven't found anywhere else.
My blood tastes like metal.
The start of chapter 1 gives us an inside look at one of the characters in this dynamic, Smile. Smile is one of my favorite characters ever, period. He and his companion we'll meet later are done so fantastically, expressing their different extremes in the human psyche. The two phrases, my blood tastes like metal and a hero always appears when you're in a pinch, are repeated throughout this manga's entire 55 chapter run. My blood tastes like metal is my personal favorite. Smile is, as referred to by different characters, a robot. He is an extreme introvert, and if he can, will avoid all and any human interaction. Smile grudgingly submits to whatever demands are made of him by others, no matter how irrational. The reason for this is that he despises controversy or conflict more than he values his own interests, but because his main interest is just a lack of interaction. He will still conflict with people if it means overall having to deal with them less, like he does with Kozumi early on. He uses the bare minimum of words to answer people and isn't the best regarding eye contact. He's reserved, and his choices of words are actions akin to something with little emotional intelligence, like a robot. Metal, of course, is what robots are made out of. This saying does two things in my opinion for Smile. It's one, a reminder that he is not weak, but most importantly, it's a reminder that despite being a robot, he is still human. His blood rushes through his veins despite it metaphorically tasting like iron. Ping pong is a reset for Smile, a reminder that he is still living. We're then introduced to my favorite character, Peko, who is Smile's other half. Whereas Smile is a brooding introvert, Peko is the opposite in every single way possible. He's arrogant, ambitious, and most of all sporadic and loud. Matsumoto's art style is fantastic, by the way. It is one of the most beautiful art styles I have ever seen in all of manga or comic books or anything in the graphic novel area. And it is what originally attracted me to this manga. Matsumoto's art is just super unique. His lines are often wobbly, the scale of things can be sometimes very unclear, and his shading is minimal while his inking is incredibly high. It's purely artistic, it's drawn with a purpose, it opposes realism. What he offers here is something completely fresh and just as interesting as anything else, and that is fantastic line art. A huge amount of detail is put into every single panel, and the art perfectly complemented the nature and pace of the game of ping pong, in my opinion. Obviously, I do not play ping pong, but I watch Marty Supreme, so I should have a say in this. This drawing at the beginning of volume 1 gives us a perfect illustration of the dynamic between Smile and Peko. It is, in my opinion, one of the best sketches I've ever seen, just preliminary to a series. It just encapsulates what these two characters mean so well. Peko jumps around, expressive as ever, and Smile with his hands together is unfazed. The first two character interactions we see of these two expand even further on their dynamic. Players on their high school ping pong team are talking to Smile, and they say a few key things like how Peko and Smile grew up together, and how Hoshino, which is Peko's real name, only listens to Smile. Smile is, as usual, dismissive of the conversation, saying that Peko's reason for skipping practice is his own business, completely neglecting the fact that he knows him and probably knows why he is skipping, because he simply doesn't want to talk to other people. When we see Peko, we see not only his arrogance, but his passion on display in subtle ways. He talks a lot throughout the series about random things, and here he talks about his obsession with gum. When Granny asks him why he isn't in school, he tells her that he's going to Europe as soon as he gets out of high school, and he'll, quote, make it to the top. His arrogance, though, is exemplified in his match for money with the chump who walks in the dojo. In this match, he returns the drives of his opponent with arching lobs, the easiest thing in the world to return. He does the textbook example of what not to do, but by doing this every single time while flaunting, talking smack, and showing no effort at all, he's sending a message. And so he says,
"You'll be ready to take me on in about 3 centuries.
Peko's style of play here is the ping pong equivalent of your king being in check every move for an hour, but your opponent doesn't put you in checkmate, just taunting you the whole time until you flip the board over. He's a troll. He's a ping pong troll. With such opposite traits, you think Peko and Smile would obviously despise each other, but it's the opposite. They are still opposites, don't get me wrong, but in the same sense that a lock and key are opposites. The makeup of each is intricately aligned to be opposite, yet they smoothly complete each other and give each other purpose. Smile is the lock in this scenario, while Peko is the key that turns him. Peko generally seems like a lazy, bumbling, arrogant, loud, sporadic idiot, but he's actually somewhat well versed when it comes to social intelligence. He recalls the last time Smile actually smiled and says, he won't be like this forever. With the same skills he uses to push all the right buttons to drive you into a blind rage, he can grasp the soul that repels everyone else, making his treatment for Smile's apathy not just a placebo of good intentions. I'm gonna pull a few more interactions throughout the story to show you how much I love this dynamic, without spoiling too much, of course. In chapter 2, when Smile gets teased by his teammates, he's asked why he doesn't smile, and his response is he's tired of emotions, laughing, getting angry, being sad. He's tired of all of it. This apathy is, as mentioned at the start, a main focus of the show, the root of wariness of life that causes his passion to rot inside of him. Whether it's Koizumi or Kamaza later down the road trying to get him re-interested in competition, or Kong trying to get him interested in a teenage rivalry, or Kozumi's wife trying to get him interested in socialization, it doesn't matter. He's the same throughout all of it. The same, of course, is true of reality. It takes a very special person to see the matter clearly and take the right course. Peko does this though, which is why I think he's deserving of far more praise for that rare capacity than you would intuitively think from his personality. In this way, he embodies realistically the personality of a superhero. Later in practice, Coach K notices that Smile seems to play worse when facing Peko, and early on we see a major flaw with each of them when it comes to their game. For Smile, it's the lack of competitive instinct, a need to win. He just doesn't care about winning. He's the opposite of Marty Supreme. Smile struggles with this early, and it's a persuasive trend that keeps him from forging a career. He finds happiness with ping pong, but the pursuit of its excellence is never something that he's been concerned about. He just wants to have a good time, and the most important part of that is playing with Peko. Not at all because Peko is skilled, but because Peko is his hero. Getting good at ping pong is a means to an end. Someone like Peko needs to win every match. Just look at what happens when he doesn't. Smile, on the other hand, despite his apathy, feels bad for people and loses games because he can't stand the cost to them. He doesn't want to hurt anyone, particularly people who have staked their lives on it. Even once he stops throwing away games intentionally, he doesn't have anything pushing him to continue. For Peko, as we've seen in both chapters, it's work ethic. Consistency is the real key behind hard work, and Peko just didn't get this at first. His talent was able to propel him without really needing to practice. The last little part I want to highlight for these two characters is when Coach K pushes Smile, and he just is not taking it at all. So he walks out, and Peko follows. And while they're on their walk, Peko jumps in excitement and says, "Come on, Smile, be happy. The world is round, you know." Smile has his infamous smug face in the forefront. This little panel just encapsulates the dynamic perfectly. And that's another thing I really like about ping pong is the imagery encapsulates the characters to a T. It's almost absolutely perfect. Those two fantastic characters aside, ping pong has other characters besides this dynamic, 4 to be exact, that intrigue me. Wang Kong, Coach K, Demon, and the Monster.
How can you cross the ocean with such scrawny wings?
Butterfly Joe is a real tragedy. When he looks at Smile, he's looking into a mirror. What he lacks is a willingness to take what he can by strength, which is part of that competitive instinct I was talking about. But what he lacks even deeper down is the courage to risk trying. He has soft, thin butterfly wings. Coach K, during his match with Smile, tries his best to warn him about the path that he's on, and is done through an initial brutal beatdown in ping pong. I love the fact that we get a "I would have made the league if not for this" whatever dumb excuse point of view that we see all the time in real life. It's just beautiful. Also, side note, the anime completely captured the wonderful whimsy of this manga very, very well. I love Coach K a lot, and I also love his conversation with Granny. She's a great character as well. The Monster Kazuma and Wing Kong are competitor types. Both end up motivating our two main characters in different ways, and their character archetypes are just so cleansing to read. Demon is actually my third favorite character in this manga behind Smile and Peko. The ties between all three of them are just amazing, and how they unfold, you can just see how much the author cared. Please, I beg you, please read Ping Pong to really understand how much these characters can impact you. Ping Pong is only 55 chapters long, collected in 5 volumes, but the content is wonderfully well-paced and never feels sparse. Matsumoto presents the reader with a superbly fresh coming-of-age story, accompanied by an extremely rousing backdrop and completely realistic characters to make sure he leaves an impression on your soul. This is the epitome of manga to me. It's passionate, stirring, and something insanely special. Both of the characters in this dynamic that I wanted to talk about today harbor real feelings and traits I associate myself with. And that is why this dynamic means so much to me. So please, if you can, give it a read.